Hi everyone, it's me, Krylios, Team Rayceen Productions MC and producer. And joining me today is the goddess of DC herself, Rayceen Pendarvis. Hey Rayceen.
Bam! Hey, love. Greetings and salutations, all.
It is so great to have you here, Rayceen, because joining us today, we have Larry Miller from WUSA 9. Hello, Larry Miller. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. It's good to see both of you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is always such a pleasure to have you here with us and getting to chat with you about what is going on. So, if this is, any of our viewers' first time seeing you on our channel, please introduce yourself to our audience and let them know a little bit about your background and your experience.
I would hope it wouldn't be the first time with them seeing me, considering how many events I've been fortunate enough to do with you all. So if they don't know, they better ask somebody. But we'll give another introduction. Again, Larry Miller. I'm a news anchor and consumer investigative reporter here at WUSA 9. I've been at the station now for almost 8 years. I've been here at Channel 9 for. So I've been here for a while. It's been a great ride so far. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of great reporting, and just recently on home appraisal bias in Prince George's County, which just earned us an Emmy nomination, a Society of Professional Journalists award, a nomination, an AP nomination. So we're kind of racking them up right now, and
love that
with the work. Yeah, so it's been we're doing really well, and so I've been busy here since I came to Channel 9 back in 2015 now, so it's been a while.
Amazing. Congratulations. And I know you were just out in South Africa now.
Right.
Give me the tea on that. How did you get that together, and what was the purpose?
Yeah, so in 2019, I was named the National Association of Black Journalists Ethel Payne Fellow. And that fellowship has a specific purpose of giving journalists of color opportunities to report on the continent of Africa and any of the more than 50 countries that exist on the continent, to deal with stories that challenge stereotypes about how American media sees content from the continent. And so I pitched to NABJ a story that I wanted to do dealing specifically with the issue called land reform down in South Africa. So right now that the government is toying around with this policy of taking land from white farm owners without compensation and giving that land, redistributing that land to Black farm owners. We're also providing some additional resources as well. One of the things that you need to know about South Africa is that when we think about unequal societies, it probably tops the list in terms of its equity issues.
Certainly.
In South Africa, the white South Africans make up less than 8% of the population, yet they own more than 75% of all farmable land in the country.
Wow.
And so trying to right the wrong of this, of apartheid and kind of the economic issues that still exist, the government's been looking at that policy and trying to take land without compensation to redistribute that land. Obviously is causing a lot of tension, and it is certainly something that is top of mind for many. So I pitched that story to the National Association of Black Journalists. I was selected in 2019 as their Ethel Payne Fellow. In 2020, I believe March 13th, March 12th, I was getting ready to get on a plane when I got the call that the country was shut down and that I needed to stay home. So a 2-year delay resulted, and then I was finally able to go just a week and a half ago. So
amazing. What cities did you visit in South Africa?
So I spent time in Johannesburg, Pretoria, and Cape Town. So I spent about 4 days kind of talking with farmers, both white, both Black, about this issue of land reform. And what you'll find is that there are really some really strong opinions about what the government should do. And so we spent time on these farms looking at the process that they go through and trying to make a farm, what exactly they're farming, how they're doing it, in some cases sustainably. What you'll find from some of the Black farmers that we spoke with is that for many of them, they didn't have actual land rights. They just found plots of land and started farming. and just waited for the government to get on board. So that was in two cases we saw that. In one farmer that I spoke with, he said simply, listen, I'm not going to wait for the government to give me land. I'm just going to keep farming. And when they're ready to give me the paperwork, then we'll accept it. But we're going to continue to do what we need to do. You know, South Africa is also dealing with an issue of unemployment. More than 40% of eligible workers there are currently unemployed. So that creates yet a food insecurity issue as well. And so the farming issue is important because when you talk with South Africans, they'll tell you very bluntly that for them, they look at land as a right, that being South African doesn't mean you just live there, but that you also have rights, inalienable rights to the land that's available there as well. So this issue is really divisive and really tense on both sides.
Wow. And what was it like being able to interview these people and gather this information? Did it open up your mind and your eyes to, you know, kind of how different things are done in South Africa and what this means so that people, did you learn a lot more through all of the interviews that you were able to do and the things that you were able to see while in South Africa?
I think you bring up a really good point about kind of what you learned in the process. You know, I spent the better part of 3 months preparing for the trip in terms of, you know, scheduling and reaching out to people. But you guys know, once we can do a lot of planning on the front end, but sometimes things go haywire when we're in it. And we've got to be able to deal with those things and still get the outcome that we're looking for. So thankfully, because I did prepare, I made a lot of connections with various groups prior to my arrival. So I spoke with the this group called AfroForum. I spoke with the South African Black Farmers Association. I found economists, I found researchers, I found other farmers, and I was talking with them for months about kind of what the situation was there on the ground. And then when I got there, I learned a lot more. I think the issue that kind of stood out to me was kind of the emotion that was involved in all of this. I think from our perspective, I don't think I necessarily took into the account of just how important land is, right? We don't typically here in the States think of land as being a right. That's something I have a right to, right? Typically we say, okay, I have acquired this through some sort of economic means, and because of that, it's mine and therefore I own it. But when you're talking with South Africans, they say, no, I live here, therefore I'm entitled to, because this is my home. And so I think that that perspective was something that I didn't know. I think a lot of the reporting that was done prior really didn't touch on that issue of the feelings of land and why it is important to them. So I would say that by far was the most eye-opening thing. And I think too, there was some privilege that came with me being an American journalist. I mean, a lot of people didn't know my name, but they just called me the American. Which is kind of funny. I was like, okay, I'll take that. Will you talk to me? So,
yes.
But you know what I found? It was like talking to family, right? People know when you are really interested and when you are committed to doing good work. That's not something that you can necessarily say. People pick up on that in terms of your energy, how you approach them, how respectful and or in some cases disrespectful you are. I had people during my shoots that got tense with me that were arguably rude toward me, but I just kept, being nice and generous and letting them know, listen, I'm just trying to tell the story fairly, because I think it's easy for us here in the States to have a certain impression based on the things that we've seen in the past and assume that this policy is, targets a group of people, in this case, white South Africans, in a way that is unjust and arguably criminal. But when you really talk with people on the ground, you get a better sense of kind of what they're after. And what they're after is equity. What they're after is an opportunity. What they're after is a fair shot for them to take care of their families and to take care of their communities. Now, you may not agree with how people get there, but I think it's worth at least the conversation of, what needs to change and then how do you change those things?
How about that? But what resonates so with your story is the story of us, of our ancestors when we were promised 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah.
It just kept resonating as you were telling the story about how polar opposite in another country that experienced the level of what we experienced with our ancestors, now that when they should have gotten all that's just due after apartheid was dismantled. But now it's kind of like shifting. Give us the land back, give us the land back. And we're taking the land back, which was old, which was ours from the beginning. So give us our land back. And it's such a powerful story. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point, Rayceen. This is ultimately a story about reparations, right? The same conversation that we're having here, right? We didn't get 40 acres and a mule, but there are still conversations today about what does that mean and how potentially reparations could benefit African Americans today and potentially moving forward. Black South Africans are having that same conversation. Now, apartheid ended in 1994. That's not a long time ago. You're talking about a country that's only 30 years removed from an oppressive, racist regime, right? And the other issue I think that sometimes we miss in this conversation about land is that during apartheid, I believe from the 1913 Land Act in South Africa, Black South Africans overwhelmingly lost a lot of land. The land was effectively taken away from them, right? As a result, you're talking about communities, families who effectively lost wealth and lost the ability to care for their families and their communities. And people are looking for that again. The one of the things that we also find in this conversation about land reform in South Africa is that while the government has, and we're talking about the ANC, which is the African National Congress, while the ANC, which is the government that's currently in charge, this is Mandela's party, has talked largely about moving forward with this land reform or expropriation without compensation, they haven't really done anything, right? They've been talking about this for years. And so then that was another issue that I pressed the government leaders on, that there's been a lot of talk, but no action. And when you talk with some of these farmers, they say, it's been great. Some of them have been able to get land through other sorts of government programs. But when they get that land, they don't have the appropriate resources to maintain it. And so then what was good, farmable land winds up being damaged because they don't have the appropriate education and the resources for them to be successful as well. So it's not just about getting land. It's about making sure they know what to do with it when they get it as well.
Certainly. And when can people expect to start to see this story and seeing the package that you've put together and see, all the things that you've learned there?
Right. So we're in the process of writing right now. It's taking a while because we have so much content from our trip to South Africa. I suspect that by the end of the month, we will have kind of a campaign that will start on our daytime and evening shows. And then we're actually going to air the full story on our Sunday morning show around the 8 o'clock, 8:30 hour. And that's going to be a way for people to kind of have appointment television, make time to see this.
Yes.
It's going to be able to breathe in ways that we don't always allow stories to breathe on the 11 o'clock news, just mainly because of time constraints.
Yeah.
But on the morning show, on the Sunday morning show, you'll be able to see this story in full, kind of fleshed out in a compelling way.
That is so amazing. I cannot wait to see that. And is there anything that people who are now aware of the situation or now abreast of the situation, is there anything people can do from outside of South Africa, to add to the story, to help in any way, or to even just learn more?
I think probably the most important thing that people can do is to get educated about this issue of land reform. But I think also the country needs people to patronize. They need tourists. I mean, there are a lot of economies there that depend specifically on tourism. They need jobs there as well. So I think for young African Americans in particular that are looking at starting new industries and are looking for a place that has a well-educated, prepared workforce, I think South Africa actually provides a lot of opportunities.
Awesome. Well, Larry, how can people find out more about you and find out about, all the work that you're doing and just keep up with you in general?
Well, I'm everywhere. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just look for Larry Miller TV.
Awesome. Awesome. And Larry, we thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for the great work that you are doing in our community and in our wider global community and, telling our stories and capturing our stories for the world to see. Thank you so much.
No, thank you guys. And thank you guys for all the work that you do as well. We appreciate you.
Awesome. Thank you. For those watching, if you'd like to follow me, you can follow me at It's Krylios on all forms of social media. To keep up with everything Rayceen Pendarvis, you can go to rayceen.com. And of course, for everything Team Rayceen Productions, you can follow us at Team Rayceen on all forms of social media. Click around our YouTube channel and check out our other interviews, vlogs, forums, and more. And while you're there, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. But most of all, thank you for watching. Bye, everyone.